track review.
Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a track review where we talk about the latest in rock, pop, electronic, and experimental music of the independent persuasion, sometimes metal and hip-hop as well. And after many comments, many requests asking me to do so, I'm going to touch down via video the new Animal Collective single, Honeycomb / Gotham. As many of you may remember, back in 2009, the New York experimental, psychedelic, and electronic music outfit Animal Collective dropped its breakthrough full-length LP, Meriwether Post Pavilion. And between now and then, a lot has happened to the group. They released a full-length feature psychedelic experimental art film titled Oddsack. They had an EP come at the end of the year after the release of Meriwether Post Pavilion. That was pretty great. Also, there were two Animal Collective related solo records released by Panda Bear and Avi Tear. Unfortunately, I was not really that into either of the albums. Both of them felt kind of underwhelming for me. I caught a lot of flack for really not being on board with these albums, but to me they just kind of felt like Animal Collective records, but with less. And when I say less, I mean the elements that the other members would have brought to what this one member created in his solo release. So now this, outside of a record store day release that the band had out recently, is the first major piece of material to come from the band in a while. It's got two tracks, A-side Honeycomb, B-side Gotham, and I'm really enjoying both of the tracks. Actually, I'm enjoying Honeycomb the most. I love the track. And what's so great about this song and just Animal Collective new material in general, since Animal Collective blew up with the albums Strawberry Jam, Meriwether Post Pavilion, there have been a lot of copycats coming in and just biting their sound. And with this song at least, Animal Collective has managed to stay innovative, fresh, new, and fun. Honeycomb starts off with a peculiar vocal sample, and then it just erupts into these rhythms that feel faintly African, but also kind of Caribbean. There are these shouting group chorus vocals in the background that are usually featured in Animal Collective tracks that kind of harken to that of the Beach Boys, you know, some kind of experimental, weird Brian Wilson production, which is a more relevant comparison than ever since those Smile sessions came out last year. And even though I wasn't totally in love with them, not head over heels with them like a lot of people were, it was interesting to see the musical madman inner workings of Brian Wilson's head around that point in his career. The vocals are really fiery and really impassioned. All these noises are just so rich and bright and fun. I love the addition of the horn on this track, and there's this synth line over the hook that kind of sounds like a pan flute or something. It's a really fun, noisy, upbeat track. And the drums on this thing have this interesting effect on them that makes them feel like they are, maybe it's some kind of strange phaser, they are being stretched and then sort of returned to their original shape. It's like I just see this multicolored field with all these shades and hues and tones just bleeding into one another, and then over this hill is this kaleidoscopic sky, and it's just changing colors and shapes. And Meriwether Post Pavilion was definitely Animal Collective's most accessible effort to date. But they went down an accessible route by making an album that really kind of bordered on overproduction, really glossy, a really high sheen on this LP. With Honeycomb, I feel like the band is reverting a little bit back toward that more simple, chaotic feel of songs on Strawberry Jam, but they're definitely being a bit more straightforward with it. Production-wise, this does not feel huge or over the top. It's at a really nice middle ground. As far as goes on this single, definitely the more chill of the two tracks, the grower of the two tracks. It starts off with this sun-baked introduction that feels like just being left for dead in the middle of a hot desert. And then these very simple drums come in and they are playing in 3, and the track kind of progresses into this slow psychedelic waltz. The vocals on this track have these short little bursts of screaming in them too. Not even screaming, but just gruffness of aggression, of just intense emotion. But the overall emotional package of this track is much different than Honeycomb. Honeycomb is an upbeat. This is a lot sadder, especially when you start catching little whiffs of what the vocals are actually saying in regards to not being given feelings or saying goodbye. This track is, in a lot of ways, just as sound rich as Honeycomb, but it doesn't feel that way at first because it's so much more spaced out. It's not as dense, but sonically there are just as many strange things going on. I do think the vocal melody rings through a little clearer on this track, and while it does not feel as fiery as Honeycomb, it's just as pleasing but in a completely different way. So what did you guys think of this single? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And what do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, Honeycomb, and Gotham? Forever.